My name's Tom Exler, and if anyone don't know me, I'm Vice President of the Association of Bladder Extrophy Community. And I'm also the founder of Courage to Shine. And Courage to Shine was founded back in after the 2009 conference in Pittsburgh. Courage to Shine is founded with the acknowledge and motivational and inspirational individuals and groups of patients that have become great role models for today's youth. One of the things that was lacking is we need to get real role models for the youth, and really what it does, you can push forward to the extent where you can come. Sorry, but my speech is a little bit slurred. So we developed the Courage to Shine out of Jennifer Howard's division. She's the vice president of marketing for PN Newswire in North Carolina. And because of her, she decided to come up with this title, and it's actually to become an award. So really, Courage to Shine is dedicated to two individuals, and it's Alicia Martinez and Adam Young, because these guys showed exactly what it was like to become real, true role models. These unfortunately died both at 25. Alicia died from a blood clot she was thrown, and she was at 25 and passed away. And Adam died he had a double lung transplant due to cystic fibrosis. But he had cystic fibrosis in addition to having extrophy. And because every day they showed that the life was needed because of their youth. And this is my only picture I have of those two together with me, and it's a mother, Vicky, which is Adam's mother. And this is one of the things I had, because this was from the youth rally years ago, and it's one of the pictures that I actually treasure, because these guys, they lived life to the fullest. And that's really what we're trying to show with Courage to Shine. Courage to Shine, the website, courage-2to-shine.org. It's a website that's out there right now, and we're going to try to get it into a regular site in the next year or so. But the next one will be, we gave out an award in 2010 to Tom Flood from Australia. I was over in Australia speaking, and he was a 75-year-old guy who actually lived life to fullest. He was never repaired until his 40s. And this guy was the president of the Ostomy Association in New South Wales. And he's also vice president of Beecham, which is our sister organization in Australia. But what was great about him, he came up for the Australian Order of Australia Medal. So I got an email from the government of Australia asking for information about Tom, so he could get the Order of Australia medal. And this is actually a big deal. So this is really where where it came from, Courage to Shine. So because of that, next year we're going to count on you guys to nominate people. And it's really we're looking for good role models, someone that you look up to, someone over the age of 16, someone who you can look up to, your kids can look up to. It's because with using today's people as examples, your kids will go miles away, longer and more powerful, because they had someone to look up to. So because there's so many people here who say, I never met anyone, don't know anyone. That's going to change. And that's what I'm hoping with Courage to Shine will change. So because of that, I want to please welcome the nominees for this year, and going to be the recipient of the 2016 Courage to Shine award will be Brittany Freeman. She was actually, when I first met Brittany, was when she was 18, right? 18?
Yeah, I think
17 or 18. And we were doing a film called Bladder Extrophy, Living with Bladder Extrophy, what was it, the Survivor or something? And we shot the film with Dr. Reiner here. And she goes, well, I'm the oldest one here. What am I going to do? And I'm like, excuse me? And it's great. And she's actually taught in middle school. And she's going to explain to really what her students have actually discovered about her. And the other things. And she's actually got married right after that, right? And so I'm going to leave it to Brittany, and she's going to tell her story, and we're going to go from there. Thank you, Brittany. By the way, it's right here.
Hi, everyone. So, as Tom introduced me, I'm Brittany Freeman, and I have classic bladder extrophy. I am a patient of Dr. Kropp's. So I come to this hospital if I need anything. I just want to take a moment to say thank you to the ABC, to Tom, to Dr. Kropp, and his entire staff, and Lori, I don't know if she's in here still. I call her with all my problems. And to Courage to Shine, and the fact that it does exist and creates this opportunity for people who were like me. When I was 15, 16, and 17, I had no idea what the future held for me, and I had a lot of questions and worries and concerns. I'm one of those worriers. So I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of my experience with bladder extrophy, and then I'm going to talk more about what I use my gift of bladder extrophy to do. Okay, let me get my notes. Okay, so I was born with classic bladder extrophy, and I've had my first closure when I was a baby, and there was a complication with that closure that created what's called a fistula in my bladder between my bladder and my uterus. So urine continued to leak into my uterus after I had my closure. So I never had continence as a child at all. I always wore pull-ups or very big pads or something to try and protect me from getting wet. It still happened. And I had some embarrassing situations, of course. But one time when I was about 8 or 9, I started to get really sick, more sick than I'd ever been in my life. It went further with infection than I had ever gone. And we were getting really concerned that I might not make it much longer because of the infections. So my parents started rushing me around to different doctors trying to find somebody that could help. And finally, we were sent here to OU Children's Hospital and to see Dr. Kropp and Lori. And it was kind of amazing because we walked into the doctor's office. I go in, Dr. Kropp and Lori comes in. He looks at me for, I really think it was like 30 seconds, to be honest. He goes, "Oh, this is what's wrong. We're going to do this, this, and this." Walks out, comes back, does it. I'm better in like 2 days after a year of being sick. And I was kind of like, who is this miracle worker? But Courage to Shine is more than just being about, bladder extrophy and being sick. It's what you do with what you have and who you become with what you've been given. Like Cindy spoke about, you don't always choose what you get to live, but it's what you do with it that matters. My parents never let me consider myself as different. So that was such a blessing to me because I really tried to put myself out there and do everything, even things that people didn't want me to do. So I did cheerleading and I did sports and things like that, dance and all kinds of things as a young child in elementary school that really helped me just be normal. It wasn't until I was older and in college that I really started to accept myself and come out of my shell. I was working in a hospital because I was in school at college, and my mom actually worked at this hospital and was able to get me a job there as a nurse tech. And if anybody knows anything about the nursing industry, those are the people who come clean up your puke and wipe your tushy and all the real fun stuff. So it was great. I don't have a nauseous stomach, thank God, because it would have been bad. So I was working there, and I had told my charge nurse about my situation, what I had been through medically and things. Anytime you talk to a doctor or a nurse, I found they're always like, "Really? That's so cool." So it's always like they're so interested in it. So I told her about it, and we had a patient come in who had a colonoscopy bag put on, and she was supposed to have it reversed, but they were unable to reverse it. And she came in and she's like, "I'm not going to eat. I'm not going to take my medicine. I'm not going to do any of it. I'm ready to die. If I have to live with this, I don't want to live." At first, I was mad. I was like, really? Really? But then I stepped back and I was like, you know what? Let me go and talk to her. Let me go and talk to her. I was 18 years old and embracing bladder extrophy and everything that went with it for really the first time. I went into her room and we started to talk, and she started telling me about everything that she had going wrong with her life and everything that was going bad with her medical history. And I said, "Yeah, it's really hard. I'm so sorry for you." I said, "But you know what? I cath every single day." And she was like, "You do?" And I said, "Yeah, I do. Every few hours, I go to the bathroom and I take my medical equipment and I go and take care of this." I said, "And I'm 18 years old." I said, "I have my entire life ahead of me that I'm going to continue to do this." I said, "I don't always feel well. Sometimes I don't feel good at all, and I don't want to get up and I don't want to do stuff. And sometimes I'm sad, but I do it." By the time I got done talking to her and she got done talking to me, she looked at me and she said, "You know what, Brittany? I think I want to eat." Sorry. wasn't until that moment that I knew the power that I had. Because so many people think that they can't make a difference because they have something wrong with them. But it's the opposite. You make more of a difference because you have bladder extrophy. You're going to do more. Okay? I was like, I'm not going to cry. But of course I do. I'm actually not a very emotional person either. So that's one of the times that I really used bladder extrophy as a light to somebody else, even if they didn't have the condition. Then this year, I had the experience of having a student come into my class, and they had Googled my name, and they come in and they said, "Hey, Mrs. Freeman, what's bladder extrophy?" And I'm kind of like, oh, great. What am I going to say to this? And if any of you have 13-year-olds or no 13-year-olds, they don't let go of it. You're not going to get them to stop asking you. I was like, if I don't just go ahead and address this right now, he's going to come back tomorrow, and he's going to come back the next day, and it's going to be a huge issue. So I just kind of went, oh, yeah. I was born with bladder extrophy. How'd you find out about that? And he's like, oh, I Googled your name, and I saw your Courage to Shine blog post. And I was like, I'm so glad this is a one-to-one school and all of you have computers. So that he found out. Luckily, I'm not a shy person. I wasn't really too worried about sharing it. More than anything, you don't want to get too personal with your students. That's kind of a thing. You want to have that professional barrier between yourself and your students, especially in middle school, and especially in middle school with middle school boys. So talking about my PP with my middle school boys was super interesting. So I decided to just instead kind of gloss over that. I said, yeah, I have bladder extrophy, and, I had surgery when I was a baby, and I've been through some things. I said, but you know what? Let me tell you what. I said, I've been through all of that, but I've still accomplished every single one of my dreams. I said, and what do you have going on in your life right now? And he just kind of looked at me. I said, oh no, you don't get to get out of this. I just told you my entire life story. Now you have to tell me what's going on. And he said, well, my parents are getting divorced and I'm probably going to have to move now. And I said, that's rough. I said, what do you want to do with that? And he said, I don't think I can do anything. And I said, well, I didn't think I could do anything either. I said, I thought I was up against a barrier I couldn't break out of. I said, I have bladder extrophy. I've been sick. I have days that I face all the time that I don't want to get up and come to work. I said, but I do because it's my dream and I'm going to do it no matter what. And the whole class kind of started talking about how they can overcome their issues instead of talking about just my issue. So I turned it around on them a little bit, but that was able to tell them that no matter what you're up against, no matter what you're facing, you can rise above your challenges and still reach your goals, no matter how hard they are or how far away they seem. That was one of the times when bladder extrophy was a surprise subject in my class. And I really feel like I didn't teach English that day. I taught a life lesson. And without having bladder extrophy, I wouldn't have been able to show my students and teach my students about that life lesson. And so I'm so grateful that I do have bladder extrophy. Some people maybe aren't there yet. Maybe you're not to that point where you're just so grateful that you have bladder extrophy and that you have this condition, but you will get there. I believe that because you're able to be here, and you're going to meet so many people, and you're going to get to go to places that you didn't even know existed, and you're going to learn so much from having bladder exstrophy. And once you kind of start seeing that as your gift and not your problem, then your life's going to really change. When I was a child, I did call it my problem. I would say, do I need to tell people about my problem? What should I do? And now, looking back, I feel so differently about all of it that I'm like, it's really a blessing and not a problem. Yes, there are sicknesses, and yes, there are issues, and yes, there are problems, but overall, it's good. It's for the good.